we've got from GP Industries, and we've got Krestensen from icprint. So we're going to hand the floor over to Stephen to start off with, and yeah,
Hi, good evening. What we thought, we might make this a bit of an open forum type thing. Who's is their first exhibition? Well, basically everyone here. I just got back from Melbourne. I was asked to speak last week at Retail 2011. There's not like 200 exhibits there. And let me tell you, I walked into one stand. It was quite depressing. And we'll get to that in a minute. What we thought, because Grant's a display exhibition guru, and Luke is the printing guy. He's just got back from a holiday, that's why he's so relaxed. But what we just thought, I was asked to talk last week on branding, and the one thing we came out with, particularly if you're going to have an exhibition, I think before you go start anything or in marketing, you need a good brand. I don't mean a flash logo or a flash ad, I mean a point of difference in your business. And that was the one thing we see time and time again when we talk to businesses about having a point of difference to the next guy. There were 15 car companies that wrapped cars up in a new vinyl or something. So you know when you see cars that have got logos and all that? There was 15. 13 of those had Ferraris, and it was the same thing. It was like being Dog Day, I think, or something like that. It was like every stand had the same thing. There was no point of difference. The one thing we noticed about, a lot of people, the good exhibitors, and I've done stuff for Honda and Optus and all that, the one thing you don't want to do next week is sell your product. You want to sell what that product does for someone. So, what page you say that? So yes, that was the one thing. If you're going to set up a stand, we design a lot of stuff for people. I've got a branding consultancy, so we go from big clients to people with big dreams, like I met these guys a year ago. You've got to have a plan next week, and you don't have to have a big budget to look fabulous. We had a girl that came to us who did necklaces about 3 years ago. No money. Didn't have dollars. She was going to the biggest jewellery fair down at Darling Harbour, down East Brisbane. We went out to Spotlight, and I said, let's just dress your 3x3. You'll all get a 3x3 stand next week. Is that right, Simon? Carpeted walls. So you've got 3x3 metres to play with. And this girl was going to the biggest jewellery fair in Sydney. When we went to Spotlight, we covered the whole stand in black. We found an easel, which we had a big old-fashioned mirror on it. And then we just had a glass stand that we bought from IKEA for $90, and that was her stand. But she had 4 or 5 pieces which were just the best out of everything. Like they were eye-catching and beautiful, and basically captured what she did. She won best stand. I was floored. She rang me the next day to say she won a big stand, and she sold $25,000 that weekend. Just from one stand. Wasn't our best thing, but that was the thing. You can look $1 million on no budget, it just takes a bit of creativity. But what she sold was the exclusivity of that piece of jewellery. She didn't sell at a price. And as a retailer, if someone walks in and says, I'm going to sell something on a price, I just say, not interested. So we've created our brand about creating a brand, just like when we spoke with these guys. Obviously, the logo was not your brand, but when these guys came to us, they had big dreams, and I could see what they wanted, and we put a plan in place that over the next few years, we'll probably attract a bigger audience and loyalty. The first year, obviously, they've got to prove themselves, and I think they've done that. Big clap to you guys. I haven't seen these guys for quite a while. If you're going to do this, don't fail. That's all I think. If you're going into this thinking, I'll just set up a nice little stand and hope for the best, don't. First impressions count. Let me tell you, if you go to that stand for those 3 days and don't give it your best shot, whatever your budget is, the damage to your brand, and you can imagine you've all walked into stores and it hasn't been quite what you expected, or it hasn't been, the customer service hasn't been right, and you've all walked away and you've never gone back in there. So don't let that happen next week. Just a bit about, I know Graham will jump in, impact. Just little things about when you design a stand, don't put anything in front of your stand, because it stops people from walking in.
And don't make people feel claustrophobic. It's one of the things, you see a lot of very creative stands which look good and they're impressive from a distance. But when you sort of enclosed where you're inside, people feel trapped, they don't like that. They will actually bypass you and go around you. So it's got to feel open, and it definitely has to feel non-claustrophobic, or it is definitely a turn off to people coming through.
So rule number one, impact. Just don't stick your logo at the back behind you. Put something up that people want to aspire to. So my partner does a lot of herbal stuff, but she never has her logo. She always has healthy, happy people. And when she goes to horse shows, like competes and horse shows, we have whatever the discipline we have behind her, because that attracts people to her. Once they're in there, she sells them what the herbal stuff does. So it's little tricks like that. Don't put product everywhere. Because the problem is, if it starts to sell, it looks like people, well, if it starts to sell, it looks good. If all that product is still there on the third day, it's like haven't sold anything, and people go, it mustn't be terribly good. Don't put steps around the back. Now, if you ever walked into Myer and all those sort of places, have you noticed that the shopping centre tiles will probably match the aisleway when you walk into Myer? Because people subconsciously go, oh, I've got to keep walking this way. Have you noticed that the paths all lead you right around the store? And then you've got to step onto the carpet. Have you ever noticed you rarely step onto the carpet in the women's, I can't say women's department. You know what I mean? You'll rarely step onto the carpet. You'll always follow the path. That's done for a reason, to guide you around the store. And on stands, Graham will back me up, when you've got to step up onto a stand, people don't want to do it. Because even if you're short, suddenly you're going to be head and shoulders above everyone else, and that draws attention to customers, and they don't want that. Unless they're egotistical, then they'll get up there. But it's those little things. I know you've only got 3 by 3, but if you're going to have a shot at this, I would recommend, don't clutter, make it impactful. Use your colours that obviously represent your brand and all that sort of thing, and then deliver great service. So, you know, basic, just to touch base, social media, who's not on social media? Everyone's on social media? Facebook? Twitter? Bet you on the secret, get onto it. Are you on LinkedIn? Anyone here not on LinkedIn? Get onto it. At this thing last week, 1.8 billion people are using the internet every day. That's a lot of customers out there that you don't have to really go find. They're out there. And the world numbers are just phenomenal. The reason I do Twitter, I hate it. Can't bear it. I don't want to know what someone had for breakfast that morning. But let me tell you, if you've got a website and a business, does everyone understand SEO? Has anyone been sold SEO programs? Waste of money. Sorry. SEO, search engine optimization. Okay? It's the buzzword, mate. If you've got a website, someone will come and say, hey, let's charge you to do SEO and we'll get you on page 1. It doesn't work. You can have the worst website on page 1. What happens is Google search engines, they go out looking. I was explaining it to the gentleman. It's like going down a street and there's a loud party house with the door open. You're likely to be attracted to that, and you're going to go in and see what happens. And once you're inside, if there's lots of exciting things happening, you'll stay in there. That's how a Google bot works for search engines. When you link it up with Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn, blogging and all that, that's like having 4 of your houses next door to each other, and the search engines just love it. So all that cross-linking is what gives you searchability on your website, and that's what gets you ranking on #1. That's why the big companies like Coca-Cola and Ford and all those are on social media 24/7, because it's that activity and that providing of new information that gets Google and all the search engines excited. So if you've just got a website and not do anything, waste of money. If you're on Facebook and not cross-referencing across to the other sites, that's how you get first page ranking and all that. So that's a freebie tip. So if anyone walks in tomorrow and says, I've been sold SEO, I'm going to take a flying leap. Anyway, marketing, you guys should be doing all your social media at the moment. Cross-referencing, I would actually recommend that if you've got questions to actually put them on the site. If it's personal stuff for your business. If any other questions about the Expo, I'd put it on your Facebook page, if not Twitter. Because I tell you now, when you do a talk, there's one person that asks a question, there's probably 5 in the room that want to ask but we're too embarrassed. Plus that's more communication for the Expo itself. And and all the communication is extra marketing, extra promotion. It's someone else that may see it, which might be an extra customer that comes to your stand that weekend, or they might sell an extra 10, which makes the expo a success. You know, more customers obviously mean more chances to sell. So there's some of the things. Handing out material, I imagine there's going to be show bags and stuff. A bit like buying a car. You don't sit there and look at the brochure at the car yard, you take it home and then put all the brochures on the floor and you flick through it. So whatever stuff you can hand out next week, with your stories or offers on it, I have all that stuff available. So people can take away business cards, any brochures and all that sort of stuff. Luke will talk to you all about that. Another thing too, on your stand, can you get a TV? People love to sit there and look at the TV. Even if they stand outside your stand, they will sit there and watch it, and any sort of movement attracts the eyes. So if they're walking past, it's a good way to get more people to your stand. But I'm going to hand out over to these guys as far as options, whether you've got $5 or $20,000 to spend, I'm sure Grant would like to talk to you. And if you've got any marketing material, Luke's the man. So, and we're open to questions, so don't get stunned or you need something to ask us, please feel free to put your hand up.
Just backing up where it's just going in, interactivity on the stand, anything you can do that creates a level of interest with people. Once one person comes onto a stand and then another person, other people around see people there and they're attracted to it. Whether they actually are or they aren't, they'll determine that when they get there. But so many times you go to expos and in the past I've been an exhibitor as well as this end where we build stands and do graphics and so forth and help people with their design. But one of the things we found in the past is if the stand is dead and it's not moving, then it doesn't matter how big and how impressive it is, you can pay tens of thousands of dollars for it and it doesn't work for you. So, as I was just saying, if you can put a display up of some kind, if you can do some kind of demonstration yourself that's going to captivate people and have them come and see what you're doing, then you're going to engage other people's interests as well. Once you do that, you've got a forum within the whole thing there, and you can actually talk to multiple people and target them at once, and you'll find that more will come. One of the things that I often do, and I work with some of the material suppliers that we work with, and we have some of the biggest trade exhibitions in the country, and we do live demonstrations and materials and things. We might call up a whole area. Particularly, you mentioned about the vehicles being wrapped. One of them I did last year for 3M, which is a company, and they brought in one of the Stone Brothers racing cars, and we completely covered a car in graphics, and we did it as a live demonstration for people to see how to work with materials. And at any one time that I was there doing that demonstration, there could be anywhere between 30 and maybe 60 people standing around. Now, those people half of them are standing around because they're trade people waiting for you to slip up and laugh at you and point the finger, etc. But at the same time, it's great because you can demonstrate things and it really does get people in. So, not that everybody's got that sort of space and the sorts of budgets that those companies do to have that sort of space, but whatever you can do, one of the most important things is you don't have to spend $1 million, but just make sure you make whatever you have interesting, and that's absolutely it's the key thing to making it work for you. So many people come and they go and they say, oh well, my stand didn't work, and they put the wrong people on the stand. And there's a big difference between the people who are emotionally involved with the business and driving it, and people that work for you that are just there because they have to be, and now you're eating into their weekend time. So people selection as well is a key issue to making your stands work for you. So anyway, look, my background, as you can see now, is within exhibitions to a fair extent. And we provide graphics and so forth, and we come on as a support partner with these guys. It's a great opportunity for something to grow here, and something which is also good for another unique sector here of market. So we provide graphical services and various other things, and tonight anything is open. Just either drawing on experience and just a little bit of background to yourselves, and perhaps maybe ways to do things specifically for yourselves. That's what we're here for, just to support the network. And do need, then certainly talk to us about that as well. But apart from that, I guess your products are next, and it just obviously everything's got to go hand in hand, and quite often if it's a first show, it's difficult to know who to get what from, what you're supposed to do, and I noticed there's some questions before about bump-ins and all this sort of stuff, and just having to think about like what size products you've got to perhaps bring in, or what you don't have to bring in, and when you might like to do that. If you've got larger objects and so forth, or heavy objects that need to come in, you need to probably pre-organise that, make sure you think about getting it in and out. Same as when you're exiting and you need to take the stuff out, you need to think about those things as well, because there'll be everybody else trying to leave at the same time, and the shell scheme guys will be there trying to tear it all down around you as well. So anyway, any questions at all, please feel free to ask now, or come up and see us afterwards, and that's about it. Yeah.
When you say it's also to do with the person who's managing the stand,
Yes.
I'm actually an accountant by trade, so I'm used to being really professional. But with an event like this, I feel like I should be a bit more laid back and more welcoming to people. Do you understand?
Yeah, definitely. You'll probably find that the people that are going to come, particularly to this exhibit, if you look at the type of demographic that's probably going to attend, it's going to be families, it's going to be people who are interested in their own fitness, it's going to be people who are going to be interested in improving their life, and a variety of other things. It's not really the environment which you're going to be expecting somebody in a suit and tie to attend who's going to put on all the airs and graces of being in a corporate boardroom. So as far as that's concerned, laid back to a certain degree. I mean, we've all got to have a degree of professionalism about us, but definitely if it's welcoming, it's inviting, if you're not, if you don't feel like that you're threatening in any way, sometimes, if sometimes power dressing and things like this doesn't really work so well, people get a little bit off-put about talking to somebody in a suit and tie, etc. Yeah, to be a little bit more laid back, a little bit more bubbly in personality, anything like that. It's not so much a sales pitch that you're pushing across, although you do need to get people's attention and put something across to them that they're going to take away. At the same time, it's also got to be a fun type thing and a learning experience for them. Let's face it, the things that we often take with us are the things that we remember, the things that are important to us, things we care about, things that impressed us, things that appeal to us, etc. So you just think about things from your own perception. Whatever appeals to you and why it appeals to you is more than likely what will appeal to others as well. So yeah, definitely probably try a little bit more.
To that question, just it's part of what Stephen was saying. It's about your brand. They're judging, your brand. You're representing the brand. So think about your brand and what you want to make that, and that will dictate sort of how you behave. If you want your brand to be this professional thing, then you need to behave that way. If you want your brand to be funny or quirky or whatever it is, like, you're the brand. It's not like I said, there's not a logo. It's everything about the business and all that. So that's the best way to sort of, I guess, think of it.
Last week, I was going to show it, but I won't. The presentation. There's a thing when you people think branding in the old days was it used to be advertising speak. So when I was in the agency, I wanted to work on the brand stuff, and that's when we would get flown to an island to shoot some girl in a bikini and spend $200,000 when we could have gone and shot it at Bondi. I'm from Sydney. So there was that perception, and then you had retail, which was that really dirty, price-driven. You didn't mention you did, and I grew up in retail, so I love it. That's all changed. So people have this perception that branding is this luxurious say things. It's not. It's what Luke was saying. There's a customer expectation from who's going to come and buy from you. I can't work with financial people. As soon as a financial person walks in, they don't understand it. So I just say, look, I'm not the person for you. So that's my brand, and I'm quite brash. I'm outspoken. So last week they said, can you tone it down a little bit? And I said, I can't. But the way the presentation went, they loved it. But that was how I presented, as opposed to the guy beside me who had a suit and tie on and used big words like ubiquitous within the first 5 minutes, and everyone's on their iPads and their iPhones going, oh, what the friggin' hell is ubiquitous, and no one heard the rest of his talk. So, your brand is what you want your customers to take away from you. So be really, everyone, be really careful. Kinesiologist sort of thing. My wife's a herbalist. She talks to me using terms, and I show jump. So her market people that own horses. Show jumpers aren't very bright. We just kick and point, and the horse does it all for us. When she talks to these horse riders, if she starts using technical terms, comfrey, and metabolism, they just glaze over. And the same with me. So part of her marketing, I have to keep saying to her, talk in the language that your customers want. So as an accountant, you're going to a well-being. People don't go to accountants for well-being, that causes them stress. So, everyone, know who your customer is, and not everyone's going to be the right customer for you. So if someone walks away because they don't get it, don't feel you failed, they're just not your customer.
That's really part of what Simon and his vision was for this thing, because you've got all these different industries that don't necessarily go together all the time. Like a personal trainer is much more mainstream than a kinesiologist. Say so. Yeah. Is that what you're up to? Yeah. Cool. I don't even know what that is. I can say. But having so maybe the personal trainers will draw a crowd that you're not normally in front of, and that gives you an opportunity to promote something about your products and services. But you want to be, like Stephen said earlier, promoting the benefits. What is it? For example, this water, it's alkaline 9. Who cares? Honestly, it's nice. But if you had a product there and it said, look, this is great value, best price around, or something like that, alkaline 9 water. I'm probably in this room, I get a more raise of hands of who would buy that. But generally speaking, what percentage of people buy this water? But if you put up there, something about acidity levels in the body and how that, increases aging and is prone to disease and this sort of thing, and by drinking this water.
Done well, that's it.
I was at a Tony Robbins seminar on Monday, and he's all about alkaline and acidity and things like that, and green drinks and all those sort of things he promotes those. But if you're going to put a flyer or a big banner or anything like that to draw someone in to promote this water, for example, don't put alkaline 9 as the big thing. Be the benefit. Yeah, exactly. If you want to be seen to be educating, informing people, so you capture attention and things like that. So
and enthusiastic.
Yeah.
Enthusiasm sells everything.
But benefits focused always. That's
it's the same. Sell the sausage, not the sizzle.
Sell the sizzle. Sell the sizzle,
not the sausage.
Almost correct.
I'm vegetarian. I'm sorry.
So guys, perfect example, sell the benefits. Don't, it was really funny when I worked at Ferrari, at this I was telling this gentleman last week, there's always one in the crowd, and the guy stood up and said, mate, I sell jeans and I'm down to 70% off. And I subtly said to him, mate, that's really good, but when we worked on Ferrari, how come a $300,000 car walked out the door and no one, they couldn't put that money on the table quick enough. It wasn't about the car, it was about the sizzle.